Everything you think you know about the Velociraptor is a lie. Not an exaggeration, not a slight misrepresentation, a complete fabrication invented by Hollywood that has been fooling the entire world for over 30 years. The real Velociraptor was nothing like the terrifying human-sized reptilian monster you saw in Jurassic Park. It was the size of a turkey, it was covered in feathers, and it weighed about 15 kilograms. That is it. But here is what they also did not tell you. The real Velociraptor was in many ways even more terrifying than the movie version, because what it lacked in size, it made up for with a level of intelligence, speed, and killing precision that makes it one of the most efficient predators that ever lived. And by the end of this video, you will understand why scientists consider this small feathered dinosaur to be one of the most fascinating creatures in the history of life on Earth. But first, let me show you exactly how badly Hollywood lied, because the scale of this deception is genuinely shocking. In 1993, Steven Spielberg released Jurassic Park and introduced the world to the Velociraptor. The movie showed them as 2-meter-tall, scaly reptilian killers that hunted in coordinated packs, opened doors, and terrorized humans through kitchen scenes that traumatized an entire generation. There was just one problem. Almost none of it was real. The dinosaur in Jurassic Park was not actually based on the Velociraptor at all. It was based on a completely different species called Deinonychus antiropus, which was much larger. But the filmmakers thought the name Velociraptor sounded cooler and more marketable, so they used the wrong name, and the entire world believed it for 3 decades. The real Velociraptor mongoliensis lived approximately 75 to 71 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period in what is now Mongolia and northern China, not the tropical jungles you saw in the movies. The Velociraptor lived in a harsh, dry desert environment with sand dunes, scrubland, and seasonal streams. Think the Gobi Desert, but 70 million years ago. Hot, dry, and brutally unforgiving. This was not a lush green paradise. This was a survival nightmare, and the Velociraptor was perfectly built for it. Now let me tell you how big this animal actually was, because this is where most people's brains break. The real Velociraptor stood only about half a meter tall at the hip. From nose to tail, it measured roughly 2 meters long, but most of that length was its stiff, bony tail, and it weighed between 15 and 20 kilograms. That is the weight of a medium-sized dog. You could literally pick up a Velociraptor. If you saw one walking down the street, you might mistake it for a weird-looking bird, not the terrifying monster from the movies. But do not let the size fool you, and I mean that seriously, because what I am about to tell you about its weapons is going to change everything. The Velociraptor had a single weapon that made it one of the most lethal predators of its size in the entire Mesozoic era. On the second toe of each foot, it had a massive curved retractable claw that measured approximately 6.5 centimeters long. This claw was not used for slashing like the movies showed you. For decades, scientists assumed the Velociraptor used this claw to disembowel its prey by slashing open the belly. That is what Jurassic Park showed. And once again, it was wrong. In 2005, researchers tested raptor claw mechanics using physical and computer models and discovered something unexpected. The claw was not sharp enough along its inner edge to effectively slash through skin and muscle. Instead, it was sharply pointed at the tip and curved like a climbing hook. The real function of the killing claw was puncture and grip. The Velociraptor would leap onto its prey, sink both toe claws deep into the flesh to anchor itself, and then use its jaws and hand claws to attack while riding the struggling animal. It was not a slasher, it was a grappler. Think of a modern eagle or hawk pinning down prey with its talons while tearing at it with its beak. The Velociraptor was doing the exact same thing, but on the ground with much larger prey. And it gets even more interesting when you look at its hands, because the Velociraptor had something that most people completely overlook. The Velociraptor's hands were not held palms down like a person clapping. They were held palms inward like a person about to clap. This is important because it means the Velociraptor could grip and hold objects and prey with a precision that most dinosaurs could not match. Its 3-fingered hands had sharp curved claws and a wide range of motion that allowed it to grab, hold, and manipulate things with surprising dexterity. and this connects directly to something I need to tell you about its brain. But I will get to that in a moment because first you need to understand the feathers. Yes, feathers. The real Velociraptor was covered in feathers, and this is not speculation. This is proven scientific fact. In 2007, paleontologist Alan Turner and his team examined a Velociraptor forearm bone and discovered quill knobs. These are small bumps on the bone where feathers were anchored by ligaments. The same structures exist on modern birds. This is direct physical evidence that the Velociraptor had well-developed feathers on its arms, but it almost certainly had feathers covering much of its body as well, based on closely related species found preserved with complete feather impressions. So what did the real Velociraptor look like? Picture a large, aggressive, eagle-like creature with a long, stiff tail, powerful legs, killer claws on its feet, grasping hands, and a coat of feathers that may have been patterned or colored for camouflage in its desert environment. Not a scaly reptile, a feathered predator that looked far more like a bird than a lizard. Now let me tell you about the brain, because this is where the Velociraptor becomes truly extraordinary, and this is the part Hollywood actually got partially right. The Velociraptor had one of the largest brain-to-body ratios of any dinosaur. Its brain was relatively enormous compared to its body size. The encephalization quotient, which is the measure scientists use to estimate intelligence relative to body size, placed the Velociraptor among the smartest dinosaurs that ever lived. Its brain structure shows enlarged cerebral hemispheres, which are associated with complex behavior, problem solving, and coordination. It also had large optic lobes, meaning it had excellent vision, and its inner ear structure suggests it had exceptional hearing and balance. Put all of this together and you get a small predator with the intelligence to plan, the vision to spot prey from a distance, and the balance and coordination to execute incredibly precise high-speed attacks. This was not a mindless killing machine. This was a calculating precision hunter. But here's where we need to address the biggest question that everyone asks. Did velociraptors actually hunt in packs? Jurassic Park showed them coordinating sophisticated attacks as a team. Scientists are still debating this, and the answer is more complicated than a simple yes or no. There is no direct fossil evidence of pack hunting in velociraptors specifically. However, there is one famous fossil that tells us something incredible about how this animal interacted with its prey. In 1971, paleontologists in Mongolia discovered one of the most extraordinary fossils ever found. A velociraptor and a protoceratops locked in combat, preserved together in the exact moment of their death. The velociraptor had its killing claw embedded in the throat of the protoceratops, while the protoceratops had the velociraptor's arm clamped in its beak. They were buried alive by a sudden sandstorm or collapsing sand dune while literally fighting to the death. This fossil, known as the Fighting Dinosaurs, is one of the most dramatic pieces of evidence ever found, showing real dinosaur behavior frozen in time. It proves that the velociraptor was bold enough to attack prey significantly larger than itself. The protoceratops weighed around 180 kilograms. The velociraptor weighed maybe 15. That is like a house cat attacking a full-grown deer. The sheer aggression and confidence required to do that is staggering. As for pack hunting, while we cannot prove velociraptors hunted in organized packs like wolves, some related dromaeosaurid species show fossil evidence of multiple individuals near the same prey. The debate continues, but even if the velociraptor hunted alone, a 15-kilogram predator attacking an animal 12 times its own weight proves that it did not need a pack to be absolutely terrifying. Now let me tell you about its speed, because this is another area where the velociraptor was genuinely impressive. Based on its leg proportions and lightweight build, scientists estimate the velociraptor could run at speeds of up to 40 kilometers per hour in short bursts. Its long, stiff tail acted as a counterbalance, allowing it to make incredibly sharp turns at high speed without losing stability. Imagine a 15-kilogram feathered predator sprinting at you at 40 kilometers per hour, leaping through the air, sinking two massive curved claws into your body, and then attacking with its jaws and hand claws while gripping you with its feet. That is what prey animals in the late Cretaceous faced every single day. No, it was not 2 meters tall. No, it did not open doors. But in terms of pound-for-pound killing efficiency, the real velociraptor may have been one of the most effective predators in the entire history of life on Earth. Now, let me tell you something that most people do not know about how the velociraptor connects to the animals alive today, because this is the part that changes everything about how you see this animal. The velociraptor is not just related to birds. It is essentially a bird, or more accurately, birds are the living descendants descendants of small theropod dinosaurs closely related to the Velociraptor. The similarities are overwhelming: feathers, hollow bones, wishbones, three-fingered hands. Even the way it tucked its arms against its body when resting was identical to how modern birds fold their wings. When you look at a chicken or an eagle or a hawk, you are looking at the evolutionary legacy of animals like the Velociraptor. The dinosaurs did not go completely extinct. They are still here. They are in your backyard. They are at your bird feeder. And every time you see a bird of prey swoop down and grab a mouse with its talons, you are watching a hunting technique that was perfected by raptors like the Velociraptor over 70 million years ago. The Velociraptor went extinct approximately 71 million years ago, several million years before the famous asteroid impact that killed the T-Rex and most other dinosaurs. The exact cause of the Velociraptor's extinction is not entirely clear, but changes in its habitat and climate in what is now Mongolia likely played a significant role. The desert environments it was adapted to may have shifted beyond what it could tolerate. But its legacy lived on through its close relatives, the small feathered theropods that survived the asteroid impact 66 million years ago and eventually evolved into the more than 10,000 species of birds alive today. So the next time someone tells you the Velociraptor was a 6-foot-tall scaly monster that hunted in packs and opened doors, you can tell them the truth. It was a 15-kilogram feathered predator the size of a turkey that lived in the deserts of Mongolia. It had a retractable killing claw designed for puncturing and grappling, not slashing. It had one of the largest brains relative to its body of any dinosaur ever discovered. It was bold enough to attack prey 12 times its own size. It could sprint at 40 kilometers per hour and make razor-sharp turns using its stiff tail as a rudder. And its descendants are alive right now, everywhere. If this video changed the way you see the Velociraptor, share it with someone who still believes the Jurassic Park version, because the real story is far more incredible than anything Hollywood could invent. The truth did not need special effects. It just needed someone to finally tell it. I will see you in the next one.